Hey everybody, Andrew TV here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a quick little tutorial here for pathing in Planet Zoo. So this is going to be a quick little overview and a few little tips to just kind of help you out with the pathing system in Planet Zoo there, as it is just a little bit confusing to newcomers. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So the first thing you want to do for pathing is go ahead and click on your path menu down in the lower right here. Something to note with the menu there that a lot of people don't know is that you can actually scale this up and down just by clicking and dragging on the top bar here. There's no little icon that pops up. Usually, like in Planet Coaster, there's a little icon that popped up, but you can just click and drag this bar here to get up and down. So some notable things to take away from the menu here. Here you have your regular paths. These are going to be where guests can just walk around on freely. You have different path types here. Now they don't particularly matter as far as like speed of guests or anything like that, but they just look different as you place them down. Like so. So you can see that they just have different textures and different looks to them and everything like that. But again, they don't like affect speed or anything like that, and all guests and staff can walk on those. So next up we have queue. So a queue is going to be for your rides. And they're going to be just basically the line, or the queue where people stand in line and wait for an attraction. And currently in the game we have two different types of queue currently, and they look like so. So there are those. And then the third type of path are your staff path. So there's four different kinds here, and the same thing as the guest path, where they don't affect how fast a staff travels or anything like that. They just look different as far as aesthetics go. But these are only accessible by your staff, and these are going to be used for getting your staff around in your backstage of your zoos and kind of getting them around quickly and out of sight of your guests there. So those are the three types of paths that you can place down, and they're all very important. I'll have three different unique interest to them there. So something else to take away from the path menu here that a lot of people miss. I'll place down a quick little path here. We'll get to that. But delete path. This is very handy. Instead of, if you have a long, huge, extensive path system, instead of going through, you typically, to delete a path, can right click to get rid of single ones like that. But let's bring it back using Control Z. And if we click delete path, we can click and drag, and it deletes very, very quickly like that. So again, if we have a path that is very, very long and extensive like so, instead of going through and deleting one by one, we can go through and just click and drag like this. So it's very handy, and a lot of people from Planet Coaster missed that little bit right there. So this is just a grid, small to large grid system. So if you'd like to have all of the path up at all the systems up at one there, you can just click that. So there you are there. Now over here to your right hand side is going to be your a little bit more advanced mechanics with the pathing. So angle snap is going to be when you click and place a path. So to click and place a path, you left click and then your path will come out. By default, it'll be at length 1. The width, I believe, is at the smallest. I use feet because that's what I'm used to there, being from the United States, but yours might be in meters, I believe, by default. And as you're placing your path and clicking, and you want to move it, all you have to do is move your mouse like this. Just move it up and down, and then it will follow your mouse. Now you're going to feel it snapping, and that's where the angle snap comes in. It's at 15 degrees, so it's going to snap every 15 degrees. This comes in handy if you want to build very precise circular paths. So for example, as we're placing, if we want to place, let's say we want to do a very precise, 90-degree turn. Not even circle, just a turn, right? So there we go. Now we have a little square. So again, to do that, click. And then you're going to click again and just bring your mouse down, so it's going to snap to 90 degrees or whatever you have here. So you could even bring it down to 30 degrees and make a 30-degree roundabout there, and it'll be exact because it's angle snap. So again, you can play with that and you get really nice precise circles like so. But if you want to do something a little bit more freehand, you can click the angle snap button here. Or for a hotkey, you can hit spacebar, and that will do it as well. Hotkeys are a very big thing in the Planet series games, so definitely utilize them if you can. But as you place it, you'll notice that when you hit the spacebar, that you are now very free to place it where you want to, so you can really make some crazy little shapes there. So let's go ahead and delete this with our delete path. There we are. And don't forget to check off the delete path. That does not do that automatically for you. So, and as we're going through, you saw that we messed with the length earlier, but here is the length here. You can increase that all the way up to 5 there, all the way back down to 1. And same thing as we're going through here, you can hit the angle snap and, you know, snap these as well. For the camera modes, the camera will follow. That's going to follow as you place paths. Camera will follow in center. So if you are way off in the distance over this way, it will center the camera over to the path for you. Camera will follow and rotate. Basically what it says. So there you go. We're going to Control Z all those away instead of deleting the path. You can do that as well. Control Z is undo, and Control Y is redo. This is more than a pathing tutorial now. And then down here we had width as well. So you can see here it's in, I have it in feet again, but you can put it in meters. And that can give you a good sense of scale as you're making your pathways. It's very easy to get overscaled in the Planet series games by, you know, you can throw out these huge 33-foot paths or whatever there. And they can get very big or in the opposite sense, it can get very small as well with, you know, only 13-foot paths. So always keep that in mind as you are going. Then the last thing for this menu here is very, very important, especially for making like parking lots or plazas especially, is align to grid here. So to do that, and what that is, you'll see here is if you place down a path, and you're going to place down one more in the direction that you would like your plaza to go. And if you don't know what that means, here, let me just go ahead and show you here. So I want this to go, I want my plaza to cover this kind of square area here. So I want it to go up like that, and then I'm going to hit spacebar to snap it. So there it's snapped, and place one more, and hit align to grid. And you're going to see as I hover over the path here that a grid forms, and I can click that path, or click the path. And then now I have this square path here that is snapped to a grid of this pathway. So you can see here I can form this up and start clicking, and you start to get this plaza forming. And you know, you can do this where you can kind of delete them in the middle there and leave that open like that. You can come down here. It opens up this menu here, the square edges, if you don't want them to be squared like there. You can have like that right there. Kind of gives you some neat new design options when you're building there. We can do it just like this as well. So you see how you can start to really, and you can deselect the grid and now you're off of it, just building like normal. You can see where you can really opens up your design with the pathing there, with the align to grid. So again, remember, click it on there, and if it's, you know, if you want it to go a certain way and it's kind of sticking, don't forget to hit the spacebar to deselect the angle snap, get it to where you want to go, the direction. And then I hit the spacebar to do the angle snap, get a straight piece, align to grid, and there we go. So there you go. That is aligning to grid, which again helps a lot with plazas and making like parking lots or anything that needs to be kind of squared up there. So there you go. Let's move on to the, don't forget to hit deselect there, and the delete path there. Perfect. Let's move on to the advanced menu. So the advanced menu is going to do a lot, or have to do a lot with terrain and your paths. So tunneling, for example, if we go ahead and build a quick little mountain, or just a range here, and then bring it back to your path here. So yeah, so if you have flattened terrain on, it does pretty well what it says there. If there is something in its way, it is going to say, "Excuse me, sir, get out of my way." We'll Control Z that. So it's very handy if you're in a hilly terrain zoo that you want to build, but you don't want to kind of have, you know, rocky or bad path there, because normally the path will try and just form over it. And while that might be a really nice BMX track or, you know, off-road track or something like that, for walking, that would be a little bit tough for some guests in the zoo, wouldn't it? So again, you can use flattened terrain, and that will just kind of plow through there if you don't want to deal with that. Tunneling does what it sounds like as well. It's going to try and find, this isn't tall enough obviously, but if you had a tall enough mountain range or a hill there, it would try and tunnel right through it. So that's very, very handy instead of having to manually build the tunnel with the terrain there. Path supports do exactly what they say as well. You can toggle them on or off. So this is on, off is going to be just like it, except off if you're like, why would I ever want to not have them? You can build custom supports underneath here with the scenery and building pieces, and it will you can just build it right up to it to make something that you want for it. Curved slopes, again, just like they sound. To get a slope, If we can get there. There we go. You're going to click and drag with the left mouse up and down. So up, you can go up 2 clicks. So first click, there's no stairs. Second click, there are stairs. And then a curved slope is going to do just like it says. You can turn your mouse just like you would a path on the ground and get a curved slope going. Without this ticked on, it would not be possible. Just go straight, just like that. So there you go. Curved slopes, very handy. Curbs on path, just like it sounds. So without it, hello. Without it, it's just plain, just like that. No curbs at all. With it, you have these nice little curves that come up. Now, unfortunately, you can't really edit them at all, so some players like to keep them off and then add their own curbs later on with items. Same thing with like fencing and stuff like that. So there you are. Then the next bit here is going to be railings on ground queues. So that's going to affect our queues here for our attractions. So if we go through here and tick off the railings on ground queue, you see it takes off the railings where you select there. And then if we tick this off again, I'm sorry, on, then you can see we click and it will put them back. So there we go. Railings on elevated, same thing. So that's going to deal with your regular queues. You can see here we can click and it will take away those railings where we'd like them to. And if you click it back on, it'll put them back. Okay, the next little bit here is snap alongside barriers. So if you don't have this ticked on, you can see here that the path will just kind of pass through where a barrier would be for your habitat. And you obviously can't build it underneath there, but you can get it kind of close here, and there we go, that's pretty good. But if you want to get it exactly alongside, you can hit snap alongside barriers, and it will, there you go, see it kind of just snaps over there. And you get this right up against your habitat there without having to kind of fiddle with it there. And then the last thing here is use T-junction when joining a path. So that is going to be when you have a path coming up this way and it joins like that. I know it's kind of hard to tell how this is useful, but in Planet Coaster you get some really fiddly kind of stuff when you would have 2 paths joining like this a little bit. So it's nice to have that. It's just a little bit of a neat little feature there. So, but yeah, and then the rest of it, let's make sure I got everything right. So in the highlight hidden barriers, that's if you have where is it? Your null fencing, when it's invisible, you can turn that on or off when you're building fences so you can see where the null fencing is. So, but yeah, no, that kind of deals with the general path tutorial there. There are a little bit more advanced things you can do with terrain and stuff like that. But for the most part, once you start to get the hotkeys and the general layout of the path menu and everything, you can really start to take off from there. So I hope this was helpful for everyone. And yeah, thanks so much everyone for hanging out. Appreciate it as always. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.